I thought my wife was visiting her sick mother, but she secretly spent 2 nights in an Airbnb with her first love from 40 years ago. Now she swears nothing happened, and I don't know if I'm being lied to or just refusing to let go of the woman I still love. I never thought I'd be the kind of man to sit down and record something like this, to share something so raw, so deeply personal, so shameful, really. But I've come to a place where I no longer know what's real. And when that happens, you either break down alone, or you reach out. So I'm reaching out. It started with a feeling, a quiet, uncomfortable pull in my gut. One of those instincts you try to brush off, because it seems irrational. My wife told me she was going out of town to take care of her mother. A simple explanation. A good daughter doing her duty. She's done it before. No reason to question it. But this time felt different. There was a distance in her voice, like she was reading from a script. She hugged me before leaving warm, like always, but I didn't feel her there. Her body was there. Her voice was kind, but her soul felt elsewhere. I couldn't explain it at the time. And believe me, I tried not to dwell on it. The truth is, I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. We've been married for over 3 decades. We've raised children together. We've cried in hospital waiting rooms. We've laughed over burned dinners. We've been to hell and back with my battle against alcoholism. And somehow, she stayed with me through all of it. Through the drinking, through the emotional numbness, through the nights I wasn't there, even when I was physically in the house. I owed her everything. I owed her everything. So when the doubts started creeping in, I told myself it was guilt. My own conscience playing tricks on me for all the times I wasn't there when she needed me. Maybe I was just paranoid. Maybe I was projecting. Maybe I was scared of losing her after everything she already carried for us. But the feeling didn't go away. It kept growing, eating at me when I was alone, whispering in the back of my head while I was making coffee, folding laundry, doing the things she used to do before she left. I noticed little things, inconsistencies in her messages, shorter replies, delays between them. She wasn't sending her usual photos with her mum. No details about the meals they were making, just surface-level check-ins, polite, flat, and still. I said nothing. I kept it inside. I told myself, don't be that guy. Don't spy. Don't accuse. Don't let your insecurities hurt the person who stood by you when you were barely standing at all. But then, one night I couldn't sleep. I lay awake until 3 a.m., just staring at the ceiling. My mind was racing through possibilities I didn't want to accept, and that's when the voice in my head got louder than my pride. That's when I did something I never imagined I would do. I reached out to a private investigator. Even making that call felt like a betrayal. What kind of man doesn't trust his own wife? What kind of husband sends strangers to follow the woman who forgave him for years of emotional absence? But I did it. Not because I wanted to catch her doing something wrong, but because the silence was destroying me. The not knowing was worse than any truth I could imagine, and what came back was something I wasn't ready for. I remember the moment the report came in. I didn't open it for almost an hour. I just stared at the envelope on my screen like it was a bomb waiting to go off, and in a way it was, because when I finally opened it, when I read the name of the man she was seen with, when I saw the footage, the timestamps, the address of the Airbnb she stayed in, I felt my entire world shift. She hadn't just gone to see her mother, she spent the night, the first night, in an Airbnb with another man. Not just any man, a man from her past, a ghost I never knew existed. Her first love from over 40 years ago, and that's where everything began to unravel. Asterisk. When I learned the name of the man, someone she dated more than 4 decades ago, I was stunned. I never knew about him. He was her first love, a young man she met when she was just 15 and he was 18. Back then, it was teenage romance, innocent and fleeting, or so I thought. But somehow, their paths crossed again in the most unexpected way. According to the investigation, she stayed with him on Monday night in an Airbnb. Then, true to her word, she spent the next 3 days caring for her mother. But on Friday, she met him again, a second Airbnb, a second night together. I had the proof, video footage with timestamps, detailed reports from the professionals I hired. It wasn't hearsay anymore. It was real, and it broke something inside me when I confronted her. I braced myself for denial or anger. Instead, she crumbled, tears streaming down her face. She confessed. She said that on the first night, they kissed, just kissed, no more than that. I wanted to believe her, but even that was a knife to my heart. Then came the second night. She told me it went further. He touched her while her pants were off, and she touched him over his pants. But, and she swears this before anything else could happen, she broke down in tears, overwhelmed by guilt and shame, and stopped everything immediately. She insisted there was no intercourse, no final crossing of the line. She told me they didn't want to hurt me or destroy what we had built. She said it was a moment of weakness, a lapse fueled by loneliness and pain, and then she called it an emotional affair. 2 people from the past, reconnecting to find comfort in each other's company during hard times. She told me he had recently been through a painful divorce, that he was a good man who wouldn't have taken advantage of her if she hadn't been willing. She said it was never about passion or lust. It was about finding a brief refuge from the struggles they both faced. I saw the tears. I heard the regret in her voice. She told me she stopped before it went too far, that she wanted to come back to me, to us, and deep down, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that this was a mistake, a painful one, yes, but a mistake she truly regretted. Yet, even as she spoke, 1,000 questions raced through my mind. Was it really just kissing the first night? Was the story about stopping true, or was there more she couldn't say? Could I trust her version when I had already been lied to about where she was? I felt broken, torn between my love for her and the sting of betrayal. Part of me wanted to rage, to yell, to demand answers I was sure I'd never get. But another part of me just wanted to hold her, to understand the woman who had been my partner through every joy and sorrow. The woman who had stood by me during my darkest battles, even when I wasn't the man she deserved. And yet now I didn't know if I truly knew her anymore, because she had carried this secret, this fracture in our trust, and I was left to pick up the pieces or decide if I even wanted to. She called it an emotional affair, a moment of weakness, a terrible mistake, and I want to believe her. I truly do, because the alternative, that she's lying, that she's hiding more, it's almost unbearable to imagine. She's been my rock for so many years. The woman I admired for her strength, her honesty, her kindness, the woman who stood by me when I was battling my demons, my alcoholism, my absence, my emotional distance. I know I haven't been the husband she deserved. I wasn't always there when she needed me most. I was sometimes cold, sometimes distant, sometimes lost in my own struggles. I take responsibility for that. I'm far from perfect, but betrayal, that's something else. I don't know if I'll ever understand why she needed to find comfort in someone else's arms, even if it wasn't fully physical. The fact that she reached out to him, someone from her past, during a difficult time when we both were hurting, it breaks me down now. Even though she says she's cut off all contact, even though she's committed to rebuilding our marriage, I feel like a stranger in my own home. I replay her story over and over, trying to reconcile it with the woman I know, trying to find the truth somewhere between the tears and the guilt. Will I ever be able to trust her fully again? Will I ever stop imagining the worst? I don't know. Part of me wants to forgive and move on, to believe that marriages can survive, that love can heal even the deepest wounds if both people are willing to fight for it. But another part of me is afraid that the cracks in our foundation are too deep, that this moment, this secret, this betrayal has changed everything. I feel lost, confused, hurt in ways I can't even put into words, and I wonder if I'm just being naive. Am I holding on to an image of my wife that no longer exists? Or am I giving her the benefit of the doubt because I still love her? I don't have the answers yet. I'm still searching, and maybe that's why I'm sharing this, to hear from others who've been here, to find some clarity in the voices of people who might understand this pain better than I do, because right now, I'm not sure where to go from here. Since all this came to light, I haven't really been able to function the same way. I go through the motions, wake up, drink coffee, go to work, come home, but inside, everything feels different. I lie in bed at night, unable to sleep, my mind replaying every possible version of what could have happened in those 2 Airbnb nights. What did they talk about? Did they laugh together? Did she look at him the way she once looked at me? Did he hold her the way I used to? Was it just what she said? Or was it more? Even if I wanted to believe her story, and some part of me still does, my imagination has become cruel. It fills in the blanks with scenes I can't erase. Scenes of her in someone else's arms. Scenes of her giving away something that I thought was sacred between us, and the worst part, I'll never know the full truth. Not unless she tells me more, which she insists doesn't exist. Not unless I choose to stop wondering, which I don't know how to do. She's trying, she really is. She's apologetic. She's open, she's broken over what she did. She tells me she loves me, that she wants to fix things, that she made the worst mistake of her life and will spend the rest of her life making it up to me. But the trust, it's shattered with just a few minutes of hidden truth, and now I find myself stuck between 2 impossible choices. 1, I forgive her. I let it go. We go to therapy, we talk, we rebuild, we try. But I know myself, I don't forgive easily. Not truly. And what if I say the words, but the wounds stay open forever? 2, I leave. We end a decades-long marriage, destroy everything we built, rip our family apart, because of something that maybe didn't even go all the way. I punish her, but also I punish myself. I start over, alone. And I carry the weight of this pain into every new space I enter. There's no easy road here. There's no version of this where I walk away untouched. Some people will say it could have been worse. She didn't sleep with him. Others will say it doesn't matter, betrayal is betrayal. Some might even say you pushed her away with your distance, your drinking, your absence. And you know what? All of those things might be true, but in the end, it's me who has to live with the choice. Me who has to lie beside her, or lie alone. Me who has to carry either the burden of betrayal, or the loneliness of letting her go. I don't know what's worse, staying and never fully healing, or walking away and always wondering what might have been. And that's where I'm stuck. That's why I'm telling this story, not for sympathy, not for validation, but because I'm trying to understand myself in the echo of my own voice. If you've ever been here, if you've stood at this same crossroad, maybe you know what this feels like, this endless loop of what ifs and maybes and what should I do now? All I know is this: I loved her, I still do, but love isn't always enough, and right now, I don't know if it ever will be again.